Ooh.
Draymond, Steve just said you approached him soon after last game and saying, hey, you maybe it's an idea would be for you to come off the bench. Why did you think that? And is that hard to say, hey, I've been starting for a long time here and let me come off the bench now?
No. When I watch basketball, I'm studying, and I studied the game, and I saw what was working, and we won, so I'm a firm believer in if something isn't broke, you don't fix it. And, our offense was rolling. We played good defensively, really good defensively. So I didn't want to come back and just shake things up because I'm back. Like, that's not right. Jordan went out there. He played well. We played well. He earned it. And, our team earned that. You don't – there's a lot of guys who, 11 years in, you start to feel a sense of entitlement. Like that spot's yours and starting is yours. And I never want to reach that point in my career where I feel entitled to something. Those guys don't fare well in the end. So just wanted to do what I thought was best for this team, and it was good for us.
They decided to have you guard Fox at halftime. How involved were you in those conversations? Did you like, that change? And what did you just think of guarding Fox?
I loved it. Fox is a great player, man. He's incredible. He continues to get better. And anytime, you draw the assignment to go guard the other team's best player, you appreciate the opportunity. And I definitely did. And wanted to go out and try to help this team win. And so as far as that conversation went, they just told me, like, yo, you got Fox? And I'm like, all right, cool. And I said, you try to take on that challenge and get his team what it needs.
Specifically when you were watching Game 3, what were the things that you saw that you said, yeah, like that is really working, we have to keep that going? And then how do you think it just went in this game?
Our spacing was great in Game 3. It was absolutely incredible. And I thought it was really good for our offense. And, so when I saw that, it was, number one, it was very evident of where I needed to be even when I am on the floor. And, I think I did a good job of being where I needed to be tonight. I missed a bunch of layups, a whole bunch of layups. But, it kept the floor spaced the way it needed to be spaced, and I won't keep missing those layups. So, I thought it was great, but, just really understanding the spacing on the floor and how I needed to play in space as well, even no matter who I'm out there with.
Draymond, immediately after that crazy ending, you went right to Bob Myers and had a word with him. Can you share anything about that interaction?
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about the end of the game and really how I could be better. At the end of the game. I know everyone will blame Steph and say, oh, man, he called the timeout. But I'm supposed to trail the play and not leave him on an island, and I left him on an island. And then I gave up a 3 to Fox and let them cut it to 1 as opposed to taking the 3 away. You're up 4. If they score 2, so be it. And I didn't do that, And so we was just talking about that and, how I could be better down the stretch in that situation to make sure we don't get in that position again.
Draymond, 2 quick ones. When you went into Kerr's office and said you wanted to come off the bench, if he had disagreed, would you have argued with him?
No. It was just a suggestion. And also, you have to understand the position that coaches are in. He's also in a position where I've done a lot. And to just take me out of the lineup because I'm suspended for a game, if I don't agree with it, what could that do to this group, right? What could it do to us? Not that I would have disagreed, but I think it's more so to let him know, like, if you all mull this decision, make it, right? Like, it's totally fine. And then he called me again yesterday, or what's today? Sunday. Okay, so yeah, he called me Saturday, and And we were just talking about it, and he was asking me, like, yo, what are your thoughts? Like, this is why we wouldn't do it, X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yeah, this is why we should do it, X, Y, and Z. And, one of his words was like, but how are you going to feel coming off the bench? You have not come off the bench in 9 years in the playoffs. How are you going to feel? Who fucking cares? Like, who cares how I feel? If I must answer the question for you, I'm fine. I'll be ready to go when it's time for me to go in, but it doesn't matter how I feel. I think the right thing to do would be to start the game the exact way we started Game 3. Don't matter how I feel. And, so many times I can appreciate that, the courtesy, the respect, but who cares? It's about winning basketball games at this time of year, whether you come off the bench, whether you start, whether you play 2 minutes or 40. Winning the game is the most important thing. So those were some of the conversations we had, but I was definitely all for it.
Okay. Second thing, quickly. Is this the chance you guys have been waiting for all year to kind of flip that switch? You got to go up Sacramento on the road. You guys have been bad on the road. This is
I don't think it's necessarily a switch to flip. We know what it takes to win on the road. We know what we need to go do, and you have to execute that. But we've known what we need to do all year and didn't execute. So I don't think it's necessarily a flip of a switch. It's locked in and focused on what you need to focus on, and I have no doubt that we'll do that.
Draymond, in the first half of the first game after you're suspended, you get a technical foul.
Beautiful, huh?
It's very on brand.
Absolutely.
What message were you trying to?
I'm still here, and don't shit change. Still here, and ain't no tech moving me off my square. So, Fox felt the need to stand up for his guy. I respect it. Respect that 100%. But I'm still here. And don't nothing change me. Been this way for 33 years. I pray I can be this way for 33 more. And it won't just be basketball, right? Like that comes to an end. But I am who I am. And everything else just is what it is. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Not really, but sorry. I like people to feel good. That's one thing in my life I really appreciate is people feeling good. So if this one makes you not feel so good, I apologize. But I am who I am.
Draymond, does it feel better that you survived that kind of like wild ending where you made a lot of mistakes? Does it feel like encouraging that you survived it, or is it more frustrating that you had a position to win and gave them a shot to win it?
No, you don't carry frustrations in the playoffs. This is a regular season game. You probably walk off and you're a little upset and you're like, man, like should have never been this hard, but it's not. It's the playoffs, and every game counts. And so whether we win it going away and controlling the end, or we have to fight to win it like we did today, you take the win and you move on. Now, you look at that and you say, okay, what can we learn from that? Well, I know that I cannot leave the ball. I have to stay behind the basketball to give an outlet. All right, cool. I know and understand we're up 4 with under a minute to go. The last thing I can do is give up a 3. I know that, and so making sure everyone understands those things and don't make the same mistakes I make, I think is extremely important. And you learn from that, but you don't walk off complaining or with your head down. You won the game in the playoffs, you ride that momentum and try to go get the next one.
Draymond, this team has a tradition of guys stepping back and accepting a bench role, or go back to Iguodala to start all this. Steph last year when he was hurt, and he comes off the bench for most of the Denver series. You even had Wiggins. Steve mentioned Wiggins. Do you feel this is just who you guys are? Was yours a little different than that, or is it just something about the culture that says the main guys can take a step back at times?
I think number one is it's who we always have been. You have guys on this team that are strictly about winning. And about the team. And if you are a guy that is not that way, you stick out like a sore thumb. And because that's been the culture here. So for me, it was a very easy thing. We won the game pretty handily. You're going to just walk back in the door like, all right, fellas, I'm back, and here's my spot. Like, no, that shit don't work like that. You do what's best for the team. And, with me just sitting and watching that game, I just thought that was best. And I thought it was clear as day. And I thought, I could see that from a mile away, literally a mile away. And, I just thought that was the right thing to do. And, Steph thought it was the right thing to do. And, Wiggs, it doesn't matter who it is. Your time is your time, and if it's not, it's just not. And I don't think it was my time to come in the starting lineup and make things about me. We won Game 3, try to do the same thing in Game 4.
Could it be the right thing to do the rest of the series?
If that's what Coach thinks and that's what works, absolutely. I will have to go watch the film and see, how all of those things fare throughout the course of this game. But if it's right, it's right. I don't care. I'm going to play the same amount of minutes I normally play, and it doesn't really matter. So that's kind of my mindset.
Draymond, speaking of collaboration, when a couple of assistants mentioned at halftime, let's put Draymond on Fox in the second half. I mean, how did that conversation go, and how did you like that challenge?
It was just very simple. You guarding Fox, and this is what we doing. I love the challenge. Fox is a great player, and anytime I have the opportunity to guard a great player, you take on the challenge and you feel good about it, and you go meet force with force. And so that's what I wanted to do. I always knew, as this series is going, that's something that we had in our back pocket. If I'm being honest, I was very happy that we pulled that card out of the pocket. And Wiggs was doing a great job, but when you have a great player like De'Aaron Fox, you can't just give him a steady diet of anything. Like, it can work wonders. Great players eventually figure it out. And so, it was a different look that we gave him, and I thought it was, it was good. And, when you get in these playoffs, it's a chess match. We know them, they know us. And, so who's going to pull the card at the right time is important in these series, and I thought Steve and our coaching staff did a great job.
Draymond, Steve said that Klay's defense was vintage two-way Klay. What have you seen about his progress on that side of the ball?
Well, his progress is great. He and Rick and our training staff, they continue to put the work in. On off days, he's in here putting the work in, making sure his body's ready to go. So you can always appreciate the effort that guys are putting in that everyone doesn't get to see in the world. When the preparation is there. And he's been preparing, and he's continued to do that. He's been back playing all year, yet he's in that weight room every day, training room every day, doing the things that he needs to do to not only be ready to go, but to continue to get stronger. And he's doing that. As far as him competing and looking like Klay, it is April. That is who Klay Thompson is. He is one of the biggest and best winners I've ever been around. That is what matters most to him. So it's never a doubt whether he's going to compete or not. That's who he is, and that's why we've had the success when he's healthy, and when he was not, that's why we sucked.
Considering everything that was at stake, what are you thinking when the ball gets swung to Barnes and he rises up 3 for the win?
You got to make that. It is what it is. We know Fox can make a shot. He won Clutch Player of the Year. So what I'm not doing is giving him an ISO with anyone and just watching him work and living with that. We're not going to live with that. We know that. You got to make somebody else beat you. If he hit it, great shot. He didn't. And, whether he hit it or not, it's the right thing to make someone else beat you. He didn't. It worked. Great shot.
Draymond, you guys in the first half got beaten on the glass pretty good. Third quarter, you guys came out with a whole different energy, it looked like, in addition to you defending Fox. What changed in the third quarter? Because the energy level really went up.
We put bodies on bodies. We understood that, they had their physicality. They controlled that department in the first half. And if you want to win these games, you have to control the physicality department. They controlled it pretty handily the first 2 games. They walked with those 2 games. We controlled it in game 3. We won pretty handily. They controlled it in the first half. They were ahead at halftime. We controlled it in the second half. We were able to pull a win out. So it's very evident how important that is in this series. And I knew, we needed to be better in that department. So you try to take some things up on yourself and make sure you're bringing the level of physicality that needs to be brought. And, at the same time, also lead, and show other guys what that level of physicality need to be. And everybody fell in line and did that. Loon, who's also a leader in that department, stayed physical the entire game, and everybody else. You just mentioned Klay, who was physical as hell the entire game. And so, Wiggs was super physical, and that's what it takes to win these games.
Great, thanks. We'll have Steph, Klay, and Looney up here.